I'll give you a few minutes as normal, just to let the room fill up a little bit. If anyone wants to come up, by the way, because I'm here on my own, and yeah, if anybody fancies coming up and sitting through the update and asking any questions on the spot, then feel free to put your hand up. Hey, buddy, how are you? Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So we do you mind do you want to stay up on the stage whilst we do the session? I think we're not going to I've got a couple of points I want to cover before we get into Xenia 2.0. We're going to go through each of the features, and if you're happy to, it'd be great to kind of keep you up here, and we'll try and answer those questions as well. I normally don't remember anyone's real name, by the way, because you get so conditioned by their Discord name. But because of the Michael and Patrick thing, I remember your name. I remember you and Peasant up on the stage at the same time. Well, yeah, I do forget other things as well. Yeah, so thanks for coming up. Hello, Alice. How are you?
Hello, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. So I'm just letting the room fill up a little bit. Just checking. I did see a hand up, and then then the hand went down. I think it was a guy with a name. If you put your hand up. So the plan is in terms of the agenda. I've got a couple of points I'd like to cover, and then we're going to walk through Xenia 2.0, and then we can answer any questions as well as usual. Alice, obviously, if you could keep an eye on the sort of AMA questions for any specifics, we'll try and sort of be methodical and structured without being too robotic. And it's great to have you here as well, Michael, because I think you've already got some like really relevant questions. Cool, brilliant. First off, just a slight apologies. You might be able to tell that my voice is still a bit croaky. I'm still not very well, and yeah, we're meant to be flying to Dubai tomorrow morning. We've had to change our flights this morning to Friday. So, but we will launch Senior 2.0 come hell or high water. We won't make any excuses, but just making apologies if I sound a bit rough. Cool. So a lot of people here now. We're talking like 50 plus people. And Alice didn't even know there was an AMA. Look at that.
I just feel like with everything that we've had going on with sickness and stuff, my brain is like completely fried. So yes, just yeah, need to hope the kids and everyone gets better. You as well, of course, soon.
Um, yeah. So a couple of points I wanted to cover. Just to kind of meet it head off. And you know what I'm going to say next. You could go back to early AMAs of MDB. Right. We've been around. We're pushing in a week. It'll be 7 months, and we're going to be around for a lot longer. Right. We're not going to go away. What what MDB does is very sustainable. It's very true, and we don't make up APYs. We don't mint supply or have emissions or anything like that. Everything that we have is very organic, and the number one way we can make sure we continue doing that is when you get these inevitable, certainly this year, these inevitable crashes within the market. We don't panic. Yeah, we can't panic, and I'll be completely open. When you like this morning, it's not very healthy, but most mornings one of the first things that I will do is I will check the chart, right? And you'll see that somebody sold loads through the night. the chart's gone down. BNB has, lost its shirt again in the night while she'd been asleep. And of course, my first gut reaction is we've got $2 million there. We can just make it all look better. But that is the fastest road to ruin in a protocol like ours and the way it's designed. We have to be patient, and I think we've had some, like, we still have some really good times, right? If you look at where we were 7 months ago, go and list out 50 projects that have launched in the last 7 months, track their performance, even if it's BNB, even if it's Bitcoin, right? And put us against those projects, Ethereum, and then look at smaller projects in DeFi. It's been an absolute bloodbath, right? And the reason we've been able to do that is because you can't knock us down. Whenever things get tough within the market, it does go backwards. Now, I think from a memory perspective, because we've done so well in a very difficult market, I think it can be assumed that the market goes down, we go up. So, oh my God, MDB's going down and we've got a problem. Well, that isn't actually true, right? If you bring up our chart, you put it on the daily, and you look at us since we launched, every time there has been a major crash, anxiety within the market is huge. People look for liquidity. The first place they go for liquidity is a place where it hasn't fallen apart, right? And people panic. And then because some people sell, then other people panic, and then other people sell, and that's the process. And that's why a chart, more so than than anything in crypto, is very reflective of human behavior. When it's going up, people get FOMO and they ape in, and then when it goes down, people get very scared and they dump. But if you look at our history, you'll see that we launched a week before the Terra Luna crisis, and we washed through sort of lots of whitelist dumpers, and then the chart was very healthy, and we pushed up, and then I think we possibly had the Virgil Tower about then. We'd been around a week, we got an 80k buy, everybody was going wild. The next day Terra Luna happened, and it just dropped. Our chart just dropped, right? And that absolutely happened, and people were losing their shit, but we held strong. Now, we then, over a longer period of time, built momentum again, and momentum comes from a number of different things, whether it's products, marketing, community engagement, lots of just hard work and perseverance, and we built up and up and up again over a longer period of time. You'll see that on the chart if you're following it as I say it. And then Celsius came, and bang, we just dropped again. Now, it went down slower because it was much more resilient. You've built a holder base that believes in the project. When you're a week old, people think, okay, well, this is just going to follow the format of any project, right? It's going to be pump, dump, and then fizzle out over a long period of time, which is typically what happens to crypto projects. So we did it again after Celsius. You see, it went down, and the same thing was happening. I was getting the DMs, calls for the Phoenix, people saying, we're really not sure. And then there was people that were like dumping millions of tokens right at the bottom. And then actually our climb up came when there was no crisis. So what's happened in the last 10 days, just to kind of like draw a line under it, with FTX and our chart dropping is very indicative of when there's a crisis within the market. And people might not know this because we don't, we don't, we go about our business probably sometimes maybe a little bit too quietly. In the last 2 weeks, we've bought and burnt 125 BNB worth of MDB, right? If we hadn't done that and we'd waited until this morning, we would have burnt 15-20% more than we have done doing that, right? But we're always going to be cautiously aggressive. That's our strategy. We're not going to lock up, the protocol's money and say, hey, we're going to wait for the bull, and when that comes, then we'll do something. We're not going to do that, right? It's there for a reason, and the protocol has a job to do. But at the same time, it's my job and it's our job as a team to protect the protocol long term. So the quickest way for us to screw things up for people that really want to see MDB be 5, 10, 15 years strong is hold our nerve when things are challenging. So hopefully that helps. Our backing has increased significantly over the last week or so. BNB obviously has taken a big hit, but I think our backing today is sort of like getting close to 50%, which is ridiculous, right? It's really, really high. And you know what? If it goes down even more than what our backing becomes 60, 70, 75%, and we're in a position where we can go through that process again. I don't think it will. I think the market will start to sort of like stabilize a little bit, but that's I don't know, Michael, have you got any, you're a guy that's come in very close to our all-time high as well, so I don't know if you've got any thoughts or feelings or comments you want to add. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and look, we've been here before, right? We've been here before, and it's we go through the same process, and I appreciate, like I say, I feel it. I do feel it. It might seem that maybe I'm slightly disconnected, but my gut feeling is probably the same as everybody else's. But at the same time, I also know that we wouldn't have done what we've done sort of in the last 4 months if we hadn't held our nerve in the times before, right? So yeah, and like Harley's saying there, that actually where we've been holding back a bit, because we just understand how this process works, right? This is sort of our third sort of like major crisis in 6 months. You can see that the trust fund is backing the protocol owned liquidity by over 600% at the moment. So if it drops another 10% tonight, then maybe I wake up tomorrow and it's 700% back and 800% back to at some point we could double the liquidity by double the protocol owned liquidity by not really delving that much in, but it's really important that you can't base a whole project on your ability to deflate yourself when things are difficult and then spend all your money in panic mode before you really get there as well. Okay. Second thing that I wanted to cover, so we've been working on something in the background. We've been people that maybe are new to the ecosystem. You'll notice that we have two stable backed assets, so Phoenix Plus and MDB Plus. It's basically a smart contract with BUSD locked in them with different tokenomics, right? Now, you'll notice if you go to PCS, you'll see a chart on there, and the price is always slightly out. And the reason for that is because we pair the stable backed asset on PCS with a volatile asset, which is BNB, and then we arbitrage the movements between the two. And when I say between the two, it's because you don't actually need a chart for those two assets because there's BUSD locked in the contract. There is a contract price which is set by the amount of BUSD divided by the number of tokens in supply. So we have that chart because people like get anxiety if they can't see something on a chart. That's number one. So if they're new to the ecosystem, they can't see a chart, they think it's dodgy or it's off chain or something like that. So that helps. I think people feel a bit better. And at the same time, when BNB crashes or BNB pumps, then our arbitrage bots are able to arb between the contract price and the price on PCS. Now, the same goes across other pairs. So whether it's the cone pair that we had, MDB plus, USD plus, the eShare MDB plus, which is still in existence actually, and still presents arbitrage opportunities. There's more opportunity to do this. So we've got one of our bot guys working on a system that will run between many different MDB plus pairs, and just to share with you, to give you a little heads up, we started to create pairs last week, and we created a few obvious pairs. So we created MDB plus buy swap pairs. We created a pair with Matic, with Ethereum. They're all Binance pegged, obviously, because we're on Binance chain. We also created, just because there's a part visibility and part they can be very volatile. So even if there's a tax on the token, which our bot would have to pay, huge amounts of volatility can still present arbitrage opportunities. So at the moment they're kind of sitting idle whilst we set up these bots. But if you look for MDB plus pairs, those of you that know how to do that, you'll start to see MDB plus pairs popping up, and we're probably going to add a Bitcoin pair as well. And then we'll be starting to more systematically arbitrage, which arbitraging between those pairs will then drive more volume from MDB plus, which will then start to help the APY get a little bit higher. Because as our LP gets bigger into MDB plus, we're actually strangling the APY slightly. So that's one of the things. And we've seen some organic trades already, because there are very intelligent systems out there that are always looking for differences between pairs and trying to arbitrage. So even without us doing it, we're starting to see fairly regular transactions across a lot of those pairs where people are buying and selling MDB plus to leverage the difference in the value across the different pairs. Interestingly, we created one for Seifu and also Baby Doge, because they have a lot of volatility, and we know that Seifu will drop 50% in a day and then it will go times 2 in a day, and despite pretty high taxes, that still presents a pretty big arbitrage opportunity. So interestingly, out of all of those pairs, because of the sheer crazy volatility on Seifu, we've actually had the most organic transactions. So that's just random bots spotting the difference and taking value on the Seifu MDB Plus pair, because Seifu is just ridiculously volatile. So I thought I'd just share that, and that's becoming much more systematic over the next few days, and that again just drives up. At the moment, we make about $4,000 a month through arbitrage revenue, and that'll increase that revenue. But then also in the same token, it'll increase volume through the MDB Plus pairs, which then helps the MDB Plus APY. So I thought I'd cover that. Okay. Happy to answer any questions on that specifically. So I'm just looking if there's any questions in the AMA questions channel. Okay, so Pi's in there just doing what he does. Don't see any sensible questions in the AMA questions channel. So yeah, I thought I'd give you that update in terms of some of the things we're doing to generate new revenue and volume in the ecosystem. So moving on to the Xenia 2.0 update today. So we had quite a late meeting yesterday, walking through sort of like contract testing. Everything was absolutely fine. Everything that we could test. We weren't in a position to test the swapper, albeit it's a fairly basic function because it doesn't actually hold any tokens. And we're not in a position to test the new bond yet, because the bond will probably take another 24-48 hours, because we keep just whacking new scope on. It's not fair for the developers to expect them to keep the same timeline whilst we keep adding work to the job. But we did test the MDB Plus MDB farm. We tested the auto farms. We tested the Zap functions and the Phoenix Plus auto function. Everything passed perfectly, and we're going through sort of like the staging app, doing sort of like the UI checks, functionality checks, making sure that everything's right, and then we should be on track to launch Xenia 2.0 in the next 3 or 4 hours. Okay, so what actually probably nearer 4 or 5 hours, plus we've got developer time in there as well, but it will definitely be today by come hell or high water. So what does the specification look like at the moment? So we've got a new white paper and also a cheat sheet is going to be distributed after the call this afternoon. Alice has gone from the call, which, based on the last couple of days with our children's nursery, this probably means that our nursery's called and they're sending the kids home. They're very sensitive for some reason. Not your problem, it's ours, but kids are perfectly fine, no temperature, they're going to nursery, and they're very sensitive and send them home at the drop of a hat. So yeah, there's a good chance that that she's had to pop off to do that. So we'll still endeavour to get the white paper and the cheat sheet out over this afternoon, and the specification looks like this. So first and foremost, there'll be an addition of an MDB Plus MDB farm, albeit it will only be an auto farm. So at the moment, if you go onto farms on Xenia, you've got MDB, B&B, and it only pays you MDB in rewards. And if you want to compound that, then you have to manually do that. Okay, so we'll be adding an MDB Plus MDB farm, but it will be an auto farm. We'll also be adding an MDB B&B farm, which is an auto compounding farm. Okay, so the way that will work, if anybody's not familiar with the way auto compounding farms work, is when your rewards are received, which will be actually it means that in days of high volume it will compound more than once a day, because it will compound every time rewards are received. Actually, typically rewards are received anywhere between, on a really quiet day it might be once, but typically, because it's from both the buy and sell receiver, typically you're seeing rewards come in minimum 2 times a day. Some days 5-6 times in a day where volume's much higher. So actually the compound effect won't be every 24 hours over 365. Many times it will be compounding numerous times within a day. So the way the function works is MDB rewards are received into your farming position. The auto compounding farm will take that MDB. It will first off, you'll pay a 2% tax for auto compounding, and that 2% tax is what we call a service fee. It's very cheap. Other protocols charge like 5%, and all of that tax will be burned, by the way. So you'll be able to see the burn figure of MDB coming down all of the time. So it will take your MDB, it will sell half of it, whether it's the MDB Plus farm or the BNB farm, and then it will pair that half with the MDB. There's always a slight difference in calculation. So actually, the way these farms work, that if there's a slight gap, then it will just send you the difference. If it was like a 3 MDB gap, then it will just send you the 3 MDB back to your wallet to make sure you're whole, and it will recompound back into the farm. You will also have a zap feature for both of the auto compounded farms, not for the normal farm, and the zap feature only works with BNB. So you'll be able to just click zap, add the amount of BNB, click buy, and then what the system will do is it will automatically buy the MDB, or half of your BNB will go into MDB, or in the case of MDB Plus, it will split it across MDB Plus, MDB, it'll create the LP, and it does it all in one go for you. So the zap is really simple if you're coming along. Now, it's in all of our interest to incentivize new people into the protocol, and certainly new BNB into the protocol helps all of us. There will be a bit of an incentive. So if you're using the zap function for BNB, you will only pay a total of 15% tax into the farm. So one of the secrets of our farm, there's a couple of things. If you're new to it, one is that the farm, we're a deflationary protocol, right? And there isn't many deflationary protocols that have a farming system like ours. So that protects sort of it protects the integrity of the value of the token and the farm itself. You also pay, if you buy MDB to go into the farm, you would pay a 10% buy tax. You would then pay a 15% tax for creating the LP. So the barrier to entry is quite high, but that means that it encourages long-term investors and it deters short-term speculators, which then protects the APY for the people that are in there. So the reason I'm telling you that is because if you zap into either of the farms, then you will only get a net 15% tax to go into the farm, and that's because it's good for the MDB token, it's good for the ecosystem, and it's also good for the farm if we're encouraging new money into the ecosystem. Okay, so I'll just check. There's quite a lot of detail on just that point there. Just want to check for questions. There's no date on the mint of AI, but we're talking at least a few weeks. I'm not going to answer any questions that aren't to do with Xenia, just as a heads up, because we need to be on point. So I think I've explained the question regarding the Zap and LP functionality. There will be 2 farms. Current farm with MDB claimable rewards, yes, and so there will be 3 farms effectively. There'll be 3 lines on Xenia. There will be the MDB BNB farm, which just pays you in MDB, and if you want to compound that, then you have to do it yourself manually. There will be an MDB BNB auto compounder. There will be an MDB Plus auto compounder. Now, the way the taxes will be distributed, the way the rewards will be distributed across those farms. So if you want to move from the standard MDB BNB farm, you can just unstake your LP. We're removing any early unstaking penalties, by the way. So at the moment we have 5%, I think, within 7 days. We're removing that because there's quite a high barrier to entry anyway. So I think it would be, if you go into the farm and come out within 6 days, then you're probably hurting yourself anyway, right? So we'll be removing that. So you'll be able to unstake your LP from the current farm and then just restake it into the auto compounder, and it will just do its work. The MDB BNB auto compounder and MDB normal farm will share a distribution of rewards, and then half of the rewards, so the same amount of rewards will go into MDB plus MDB. So because it's a brand new farm, whilst there's a new MDB BNB auto compounder farm, it is a proxy of the existing farm. The MDB plus MDB farm is a brand new farm, so that is going to have a low TVL, very high APY. Now, as a reminder, we are pumping in $20,000 of rewards into the farms to celebrate the launch of Xenia over the next 4 weeks. And obviously, we'll be very conscious of the fact that the existing farm has a high TVL already. We'll monitor the situation in terms of rewards, and I think being early into the MDB Plus farm will be very lucrative anyway, just like it was on the other farm. But there will be also an acceleration of rewards in there as well. Okay, I think I've answered your question. Nay. No more staking period for farms confirmed. Absolutely, yeah. And like I say, it's quite a high barrier to entry. So in truth, if you've created, you go into the farm because it's a fantastic hedge against the volatility of MDB. Long term, so you should really go into the farm long term. And if you're looking to come out within 5 days, then you probably wouldn't have made the taxes back anyway. So we're going to remove that completely. Okay, so it looks like we've answered all questions. Michael, have you got any questions on the farms, the Zap function, the taxes? Only BNB. Yeah, no, brilliant. Yeah, no, it's the Zap will be live at launch, and it will only be BNB. Only because, just to explain that, you've got logic within smart contracts, right? They're very good for setting rules that will never be broken, but at the same time, you can't create rules that contradict each other. Well, you can, but it's a very different sort of like level of work. And yeah, so just to explain that, it's very difficult to have the logic that you've got around the taxes with BNB and then not apply the same logic to other tokens that are going in there. So you would end up with this this backdoor way of avoiding taxes completely. If you could zap MDB in, for instance, then long story short, it's easy this way, and it's the way it's got to be. Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Look, and in all seriousness, I think in all seriousness, the farms are a fantastic hedge against if you've got a token that's volatile paired with a less volatile token. Actually, arguably MDB, I don't know which one's more volatile, to be fair, but if the farm can deliver you 100% APY over a year, then you would have to see MDB die, but basically get as close to zero as you possibly can to be in any sort of trouble with your investment. And so it's the farm is a fantastic hedge, actually, against yeah, some great questions. Fantastic hedge against the volatility of MDB. There is also a bit of a degen strategy, if you like, which is if the price of BNB is lower, of MDB is lower, then you can unpair your farm. You could buy you use the BNB or MDB Plus to buy MDB, and if the price appreciates, then you could sell, split the two, profit a bit, and then again you're hedging against the price coming down if it comes down, which is very difficult to do, to be honest. I think you can calling the top or bottom of anything is always really hard. Cool. Any questions around MDB AI? We're not going to cover today. Okay, it's just about we're purely covering Xenia. So the Phoenix Plus auto function. So the biggie. So Phoenix Plus, I think Phoenix Plus, I think is quite popular. At the same time, I think it can be a little bit annoying, right? Because you kind of want to go into it. It's giving you great APY, but you have to check whether you've been cashed out. And then when you do check, you have to go on PCS and then go from MDB Plus to BUSD. Well, sorry, you can sell through Xenia and it will send you BUSD. or you have to go MDB plus. Yeah, I wouldn't do it any other way, to be honest. So you end up going MDB plus BUSD, BNB back to Phoenix plus, which is not the most ideal from a fees perspective. So Phoenix plus auto function. This is how it's going to work. So on Xenia, actually, you don't. The function isn't actually on Phoenix plus. Ironically, the function is actually on MDB plus. Now, what you'll be doing is you connect your wallet to Xenia, you go to MDB plus, and you will set that you approve the auto function, and you will then set a threshold. And the idea of the threshold is you may want to just hold on to some MDB plus, which is fine. So you buy your Phoenix plus, and then you set your minimum threshold and MDB plus. Now, anything over that threshold will be auto routed back into Phoenix plus if you've been Inferno. So that means that you can buy Phoenix plus, you've set your threshold, you can forget about it. If you're Infernoed after 4 weeks, then you will automatically be fed back into Phoenix plus from the MDB plus through the function on Xenia. And that process will just absolutely look after itself. It's good for you because it means that you're maximizing the APY immediately. It's also good for the protocol, obviously, because there's more volume, and it's much more efficient long term as well, because the route will be Phoenix plus, MDB plus, then MDB plus BUSD, Phoenix plus. So it cuts out the BNB step, which is pretty small, right? It's like 0.3% fee. But if you were lucky enough to only be Infernoed, say once a month over a year, then that 0.3 compounded for 12 months is about the same as the APYs you would get if you farmed BUSD on PCS, on PancakeSwap. Obviously, so it's much more efficient. It will save you a lot of APY. So really interested to see how that works. So any questions on sort of like Phoenix Plus, the way the function works, and what you need to do when it goes live? Okay, so we're not getting any sensible questions. There we go. No. What's my take on splitting assets between the 3 farms? It's a really good question. I think it's very difficult, right? Because nobody knows what BNB is going to do. You know what MDB Plus is going to do. You know it's not going to go down. It can only go up, and it's very difficult. Nobody knows. I can't really answer that question. And just a heads up on Phoenix Plus before we cover that one off. Because you get a 48-hour grace period when you buy Phoenix Plus, you can buy your Phoenix Plus now. So that when Xenia 2.0 launches, all you have to do is go on to Xenia, connect your wallet, and then set your threshold in MDB plus. So what level of MDB plus above that level do you want to be auto routed back into Phoenix plus? So maybe it's all of it. So you just set the threshold at 0. That's what I would be doing personally, to be honest. And it's as simple as that. So you can buy your Phoenix plus now, and then all you have to do is set your threshold in MDB plus when it goes live later today, or certainly within the next 24 hours. I'm just reading the questions just to make sure I'm not missing anything sensible. It doesn't seem to be that much that's sensible, and apologies if I'm misunderstanding it. Pi, you know, if you don't like the design of Xenia, you can talk to Mina. It's not my department, and it's not going to be to everybody's taste, but we're okay with it. Cool. Any questions, Michael, on Phoenix Plus? Sure. Great question. No service fees whatsoever. It's literally it's literally the standard taxes. So if you go from MDB Plus into Phoenix Plus using the swapper, then it would charge you 0.25% out and 2% in, so you would get 2.25% for moving from one to the other. Cool. Okay, well, hopefully that's really clear. I'm looking at the questions channel, and there isn't anything. Do I anticipate a Phoenix Plus API spike straight after 2.0 launch? I think there's it's very difficult, right, to say. Is like for me, I would, on a personal level, for me, I would just whack in into Phoenix Plus. I would have all of my stables in there. I've got some stables kicking around where, yeah, I think I might even have some MDB Plus there where I've been Inferno, because we don't get a pass as a team. It's completely random selection. It is what it is. So, for me, it's completely logical. But at the same time, I see shit projects raising hundreds of thousands of dollars and going to zero within a few weeks, and then Phoenix Plus APY being under, Phoenix Plus TVL being under $1 million. So, I can't talk for everybody in the industry, but certainly, what I'll be doing is going on to Xenia, setting my MDB Plus threshold to zero, and putting every single stable that I have into Phoenix Plus, and yeah, crossing my fingers and hoping that that my Inferno percentage is pretty low, and I get sort of market beating APYs. That's answered your question. So the last one to cover is the new bond. So the bond won't be on Xenia today, as I mentioned before. It could be. There is a slim chance, to be fair, but I don't want to. We've been pretty harsh on the guys already. Every time I've spoken to the developers, I'm like changing the scope and adding to the scope, and it's quite unreasonable to keep doing that. So we've said, okay, we're okay with another day or two for the bond. The way the new bond will work, and maybe we won't. I'm happy to sort of take any suggestions in terms of names for it if we don't call it a bond. But the way the new bond will work, if you're new to it, is that you will be able to buy MDB. So you have to buy MDB fresh with fresh B and B, and similar to the current bond, the MDB tokens that you. It's really difficult to talk and watch the AMA questions at the same time. Thanks, Mars. The tokens that you buy will be locked up. So it's not a sidestep of the LP. So the B&B you use to purchase goes into the liquidity pool. Okay, so we're not creating a secondary market or a black market for MDB supply. So it goes in, but the MDB tokens that you've acquired are then vested effectively for 60 days, and you can claim them on Xenia after 60 days. Now, where it's really interesting is that we will guarantee you a plus 25%, or we'll make up the difference over those 60 days in MDB tokens, but that's to a maximum of plus 25% of MDB tokens, right? So to make this very clear, if you bought today and in 60 days when you claim your MDB, the price was exactly the same as what it is today, you would get plus 25% in MDB tokens, okay? Which would be plus 25% in value, of course, right? And those additional MDB tokens come tax-free. If the price was plus 30% over 60 days, then you would just get your MDB tokens, right? So it's very much a hedge. So if the price was minus 50% after 60 days, then you would get plus 25% of the tokens still. So it's to a maximum of plus 25% of the tokens. So the way we can do this, so I've had some like really good questions actually, sort of like personally in DMs and stuff. Is what we're able to do is actually just monitor the liability of that bond contract and hedge against it. So we have to use some trickery. We have to use some bots, and we have to make sure we're running sort of some live analytics to make sure that we're ahead of the curve and we're able to we'll always be able to deliver the commitment that's made, but obviously we want to be able to do it as efficiently as possible for the protocol. So the new bond is a fantastic way of buying high or low. In fact, I think one of the challenges of MDB is that it will come down, it will go up, it will be cyclical in nature, and you've got this big trust fund which is both an engine and an insurance policy. And if you buy high, the risk is always that you're going to come backwards, but typically people buy high because it's green, it's pumping, and everyone's sentiment is really positive. And when it's red and down, typically people are more likely to sell because sentiment is more negative. And the fear of buying when it's going down is normally that, well, what if I buy now and then it's minus 10% tomorrow or minus 20% in a few days. So the bond allows you to effectively hedge against that. It's the price in dollars. L Marble. So there's a question there. So when we say the price is the price in dollars or BNB, it is the price in dollars. Because our LPs, anyone that doesn't know, our liquidity pool is split 50-50. Our protocol owned liquidity is split 50-50. We've got then a lot on the BNB side because that's the only farm that we have. Come tonight, you'd hope there's more MDB Plus being farmed in our ecosystem. At the moment, our protocol owned liquidity is half MDB Plus, so it never goes down, it only goes up slowly over time, and then it's half BNB. So yeah, to keep it very uniform, it will be a guarantee in dollar value of your purchase at that point in time. Yeah, it has to be fresh MDB bought. Yeah. So there's the commitment from the investor is that they're buying new MDB, and the commitment from the protocol is that they'll provide a 25% buffer to that purchase, a support level, if you like. It has to be a new purchase. There was a question there as well from Brain Dead Worm. I had to read that because he changes his name every week. I'm looking to see whether there's any other questions. Sell it all and buy the bonds. Obviously, that is an option as well, right? You could sell and pay a 15% tax, and then buy the bonds, and you'd be net even. Just for fun, if you like, just to help the protocol and drive volume through it. I wouldn't recommend that personally. So what would be a reason to buy MDB directly and not through a bond other than using it to farm? I think that's a fantastic question. That's a brilliant question. And the reason is actually the downside of a bond. So it seems like an absolute no-brainer. So, getting this 25% cushion. Well, actually, if MDB doubles in value over the next 60 days, then you don't get anything, right? All you do is you get your MDB tokens that you purchase back. But obviously, they're worth twice as much as the day that you put the BNB in. Clearly, if the price drops or is flat, then you're getting a plus 25% in terms of MDB. Now, it seems like a no-brainer versus just buying MDB, but at the same time, to give you this scenario, what if you bought MDB, the price doubled, and then it dropped 75%, right? It is a volatile asset paired, partially with BNB, and the market is very unpredictable at the moment. So I suppose by buying the bond, you lose the option to be able to liquidate those MDB tokens for 60 days. So that's your downside, being very blunt. Your upside is you get this fantastic buffer, which if you're long term about the protocol, it provides a much safer way of speculating on the value of MDB when the price is low or high. But it does also mean that if you see if there's any ridiculous pump on any token, it's normally followed by some sort of drawback. Most of the big sales that we've had over the last 48 hours, those people saw the all-time high, right, and they're selling at half of it, right, which is completely fine. It's up to them. They're selling at half of it, less 15% sell tax. But it can happen. So that's the downside, is that you would lose the your freedom to trade at a particular point in the next 60 days. Yeah, great question. And we need to set up a wallet collect because we don't retain holders' information because it's confidential. So we do need to set up a wallet collect. I'm kind of saying this quite loud now because I've been ill the last couple of days and I needed to talk to Harley about this. So this is a by proxy request that Harley could get your skates on and set up a wallet collection for VIPs. If you're interested in the bond, VIPs or Millionaires Club, you need to submit a wallet, and what we'll do is we'll whitelist your wallet, and then we will give you early access. So actually, the bond, when it becomes live on Xenia, won't be available to everybody. It'll be available first to VIPs. It'll be available secondly to Millionaires Club, and only after that will we make it available to everybody else. There's a question around the farm. Sorry, Michael, does that answer your question? Cool. Yeah, there's a question around our pair with Matic. No, we're creating these pairs that at the moment are fairly small. I think there's like $1,000 in each one of the pairs. Sorry. Apologies. Yeah, the pairs. We're not going to incentivize. We're not going to incentivize those pairs. We don't want to. Our rewards. We can't just create rewards from anywhere like many protocols do, and it's not shade because it's pretty much the standard within the industry. So it has to come from somewhere, and we wouldn't want to dilute the rewards that we've already got. I like the idea, by the way, Brain Dead Worm, of maybe being able to pay a fee and then get that security. And it is something, yeah, that we're considering. We've been pretty busy with Xenia 2.0, but actually, how if you're already an MDB holder, could you potentially hedge the volatility? Could you basically contribute to a pot? I think we've spoken about it in the channel before. Could you contribute to a pot, and that pot basically acquires MDB on the cheap and then distributes it to people that have committed to the pot is something that I like the sound of, because I think at the end of the day, we want it to be sustainable over a very long period of time. So anything that can help us flatten out the peaks and the troughs in that sort of like journey from bottom left to top right, that's something that we really want to see. Cool. So got a great response from Harley, top guy. So El Marble, I think it's more of a statement than a question there from El Marble. Yeah, you would get a slight loss. You do have your taxes as well if you buy the bond, but it provides obviously a significant cushion rather than just buying MDB and then if you saw some depreciation. So yeah, of course there's always a slight risk of the price going down, but there is. It's sort of the finer point in the detail. Oh, so I'm going to come back to the room. So Alice, you're back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. I didn't know whether you'd been called to pick up any children or.
No, thankfully not. But let's not jinx that too soon. Yeah,
Good.
no.
So any questions in the room? So I think we've done the questions in AMA questions to death. I'm really, really surprised and very happy about the number of people we've got here today. So 85 people for the Xenia 2.0 update. Yeah, I'm saying that documentation should be coming out in what sort of period, Alice?
Well, I did send you the cheat sheet to sign off. So providing that doesn't need any tweaks, that can come out as soon as possible. And then the white paper needs updating. I've already partially updated it, but just need to add in the final details. So everything will be up to date within sort of the next 12 to 24 hours, absolute maximum. But yeah, some of it's ready to go literally in the next few minutes. Pending sign off just to check that there's nothing glaringly obviously wrong that I've done that needs updating.
Cool. And if you're not familiar with the cheat sheet, by the way, because if you go to the academy in the server, in there you've got some good infographics around the way the system works, and you've also then got a cheat sheet, and it's that cheat sheet that's being updated to reflect the new options that are on Xenia.
Yeah, it just breaks down what's available really in one simple place. So it keeps it quite easy to read. But yeah, there is one in the academy, but that one is obviously out of date. As soon as 2.0 goes live, so we'll update that as soon as that is signed off by Danny. Are you there, Danny? Gone quiet.
Yeah, so I was just doing one final check of the AMA questions to make sure there wasn't anything.
Sorry, by the way, it's a bit funny. I feel like I'm finally coming down with everyone's illnesses. I feel like my voice has gone all nasal. So that's fun. More illness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was not Xenia related. So a couple of non-Xenia related questions because we've got a few minutes. I think there was questions around MDB AI, so there'll be more details sort of in the next few weeks. Yeah, so we'll have to wait. There was a question around. It says 90% goes into the system from MDB AI. Where does the rest go? The rest goes into sort of developing the smart contracts, marketing, operations, staff costs, everything that goes into launching a project. Also, you do have fees as well for some systems for buying into them as well. So that's what that goes towards. There was a question here. So not Xenia related, but any update on NFT rewards or new alpha at all. So look, I do recognise that. So the way Phoenix Fire Club works is the price sits within a certain range, and it's like least exciting window. You either want the price to be pumping a lot because then the amount of the rewards might not be particularly high because the burn will be lower, and the amount of MDB backing it though has gone up much more in value. So if you're bullish on MDB long term, then the intrinsic value of the NFT is very high. If the price comes down a lot, then you'll see much faster burn, and burn obviously increases the level of reward. So we've got more burns that we plan before the next rewards go out. I think we've burned 3 million MDB tokens. We've still got some protocol LP that's staked on Xenia as well, and I think that's collected somewhere between 400,000-500,000 tokens as well. So the burning is still sort of pushing on, and yeah, I appreciate if Phoenix Fire Club sits within a certain window, then it's the value of the tokens backing it isn't booming, but at the same time the burn isn't very high, and the burn obviously speeds up a lot if the price dips really hard. And whilst the price has dipped hard, if anyone goes back to sort of the white paper or early AMAs, they'll remember that we have this sort of like range of 5 times the trust fund, and when you're over 5 times the trust fund, that's a very sort of like high risk area. It's much harder for the protocol to support the price that level, and there were times when our market cap I think was around 15 million and the fund was like 2 million. So some of that was kind of in the red zone, if you like, and I think the bond will help with that. So if we go back into the red zone and you want to purchase MDB because you're bullish on where it's going to go, but you want that buffer, I think the bond will really help. So looking at, I think we could maybe drop the percentage down, but we don't want to get too addicted to that on the PFC rewards, that pumps out a little bit more rewards this month. But it is, if you look at it as an average, it's in line with our estimations actually. I think the Infinity Yacht Club NFT has been paying really high rewards, so there's no concerns there whatsoever. Okay, so it's just a lot of piss taking around different anagrams of MDB. Is there anyone? So just before we close off, we've got 5 minutes left. Is there anybody in the room that's got any burning questions? Michael, have you got any final questions? Brilliant. Yeah, so this is your last chance. If you wanna come up and ask a question, now is the time to raise your hand. But no pressure. We're all busy. Cool. Okay. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up and we'll get down to what we need to do over the next few hours to make sure that we get Xenia 2.0 out and live. As a reminder, you can buy your Phoenix Plus now, and then you just need once Xenia 2.0 is live, you just need to set your threshold and approve the auto function on MDB Plus. So you can buy your Phoenix Plus live now, ready for the auto function to be live. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. Absolutely stoked that we've got so many people along to the call. And no, sorry. There's a question here before we go. Can MDB give the community some advertising or shilling material for the Gold New Deal? For the Gold New Deal. Do you know what that means, Alice?
No idea. Where is that? Oh, here. The gold new.
Yeah. You mean Shigrath?
I mean, I can always make some graphics or shield material for anything. Absolutely, but I don't know what specifically you are.
For the new bonds. For the new bonds. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Give me a day. Give me 24 hours. I'll try and get something done this evening once the kids go to bed if possible. But where we've all been ill, it's a bit of a nightmare at the minute, to be fair. They're not necessarily sleeping like they should. But providing they go to bed fine, I'll get something sorted out this evening. Have we got, actually, a marketing or shill channel? I know we used to, but Frontman cleaned everything up. Doesn't know like we have. I'll make a new channel and I'll stick a load of graphics. We've got loads of videos in there, but we should be putting in there the mask makes us some stuff. So I'll set up a whole new read-only channel for all of that stuff anyway. Yeah, we'll do that hopefully this evening, like I say, but if not, certainly in the next day or two. Get a load of marketing material over there for you. The guy with the name says your kids sleep. No, they don't. Do they, Danny? They don't sleep. That's why we're having such a problem at the minute. Cool.
Yeah, so there was a question about a partnership tab as well. I think that's a good idea for us to have a partnership tab. I think that's a good idea. Yep.
I think we did one of those, didn't we? And then we take it down.
No idea.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into that as well anyway.
Good stuff, Michael. Thanks for being our special guest. Thanks, buddy. Thanks everyone for coming. Take care.
Thanks everyone. Bye.